It hits you sometimes when you're scrolling through your feed, that nagging question of, is this for real? The digital world is becoming this incredible hall of mirrors. And today we're plunging into one of the technologies most responsible for that feeling. Deepfakes and synthetic media.
Exactly. And when we talk about deepfakes, we're really focusing on, audio and visual content that's been manipulated or sometimes entirely created by AI.
Right.
Think of it like media that convincingly shows people saying or doing things they never actually did.
And AI is the engine driving this.
Absolutely. It's all based on artificial intelligence specifically, things like machine learning and deep learning algorithms. That's the core.
Okay, so the classic image is a fake video, right? But you mentioned synthetic media is broader. What else does that cover?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Deepfakes are maybe the most famous example, but synthetic media is a wider category. It includes things like those super realistic photos of people who don't even exist.
Oh, right. I've seen those.
Yeah. And even AI-generated text that can mimic someone's writing style almost perfectly.
Wow. Okay. Now, I think a lot of people listening have probably heard of deep fakes, maybe seen some examples. So what's the real mission for us today in this deep dive? What are we aiming for?
Well, even if you're familiar with the term, our goal here is really to go, beyond just the surface level. We want to explore the multifaceted nature of this tech.
Okay.
Its implications, which are huge and growing fast across society. And crucially, what's being done about it. What are the countermeasures?
Gotcha.
We've pulled together a whole range of sources for this. Some cutting-edge academic papers, industry reports, and some really striking real-world examples.
So the idea is to give our listeners a shortcut.
Pretty much. A shortcut to understanding the most critical aspects, how they're made, the impact, how we spot them, how we fight back, without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Excellent. Sounds essential, honestly. And before we really dive in, just want to give a big thank you to our sponsor, www.quantumsecurity.ai.
So let's maybe kick things off by looking at how deepfakes even became possible. It wasn't like they appeared overnight.
Right. It was a buildup.
Exactly. A convergence of a few key technological steps. One really crucial area was developing better algorithms for what's called facial landmark mapping.
Okay, what's that exactly?
It's basically the tech being able to precisely pinpoint and track key spots on a face, corners of the eyes, tip of the nose, mouth edges. That groundwork was essential for facial recognition and then for manipulating faces.
That makes sense. You need to map the real thing before you can fake it convincingly. What else was needed?
Well, the sheer explosion of data online. Think about all the photos and videos on the internet, on sharing platforms.
Yeah, endless amounts.
That became the massive data set needed to train these AI algorithms. They need tons of examples to learn from. And at the same time, image forensics got a lot better. Detecting digital fakes started becoming more automated.
Okay, so you've got the facial mapping, the huge data sets to learn from, and better ways to spot the fakes, which I guess helps the AI learn what not to do.
Exactly. That's the AI learning cycle. The algorithms study the real data, find patterns in faces, movement, voices, but they also learn from the forensics when a fake gets flagged.
Ah, the AI learns why it got caught.
Precisely. It analyzes what gave it away and refines its technique. It's this constant loop making the synthetic media better and better.
It's like they're learning from their own mistakes. A bit unnerving.
Now, you mentioned JANs earlier, generative adversarial networks.
Yeah.
What was the big deal with those? How did they change the game?
JANs, they popped up around 2014. The really clever idea was having two AI networks compete against each other.
Compete?
Yeah. You have a generator network trying to create the fake, say, a realistic face. Then you have a discriminator network whose job is to tell the difference between real images and the generator's fakes.
So like an artist and a critic constantly battling it out. Exactly like that.
Yeah.
The generator keeps getting feedback on why its fakes look fake, and it uses that to improve. That adversarial process, that back and forth, is what really pushed the realism forward.
Yeah.
From kind of crude fakes to the scarily good ones we see now.
Okay, so the tech got really good, but what about actually making one? Is it still super specialized, needing PhDs and massive computers?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
The barriers have come way down. High-quality algorithms, the kind that power JANs, are often open source. You can find them on places like GitHub.
So anyone can download them.
Pretty much. And they're pre-trained models, too. You don't have to start from scratch. Plus, getting the computing power isn't the hurdle it used to be. Cloud services like Google Colab
Right.
offer access to powerful processing, sometimes even for free.
So someone with decent tech skills and internet access could potentially make a pretty convincing deepfake now.
Unfortunately, yes. And it's not just static images or pre-recorded video anymore. Technologies like 5G are making live, real-time deepfakes possible.
Live, like during a video call.
Yeah, imagine someone manipulating their video feed during a live meeting. That capability is here, or very nearly here. It's moving incredibly fast.
That is genuinely unsettling. It feels like we went from sci-fi to reality almost overnight. And I've even heard there are like marketplaces for this stuff.
Yeah, the demand, especially for video, has led to online platforms, forums, places where people can actually request or offer deepfake creation services. And sadly, that includes really harmful stuff like non-consensual pornography.
Okay, this gives us a clear picture of how the tech evolved and how accessible it's become. Let's shift gears now to the really concerning part. How are these things being used maliciously? It sounds like the potential for harm is huge.
It really is. One massive area is fraud, financial harm.
Yeah.
Generative AI is basically supercharging synthetic identity fraud.
Synthetic identity fraud, you mean creating fake people?
Exactly. Criminals take stolen personal info and use AI to automatically build these fake identities that look legitimate. They can generate fake documents, too.
Like what kind of document?
Oh, birth certificates, social security cards, pay stubs, bank statements, utility bills, all AI generated to back up the fake person. They can even grab photos online to make fake driver's licenses.
Yeah.
And deepfakes are part of making these fake personas believable online.
So how do the deepfakes fit into the actual scams?
Well, these synthetic identities with all their fake proof are used in really sophisticated social engineering schemes. Think fake profiles on social media or dating sites.
Using AI-generated profile pics.
Right, or even deepfake intro videos. Then they interact with targets, email, phone calls, messages trying to get login details, personal info, or trick them into sending money for fake investments or, fake romantic emergencies. Deepfakes make the interaction much more convincing.
Building entire fake lives online to deceive people. Scary.
And it's not just individuals getting scammed. Businesses are major targets too. Executive impersonation is a big one.
Like pretending to be the CEO.
Exactly. Advanced criminals are using deep-faked audio, even video, to impersonate high-level execs. There was a case reported, I think, May 2023, where a CEO was impersonated using synthetic visual and audio over WhatsApp to try and authorize fraudulent transactions.
Wow. Imagine getting a video call that looks and sounds exactly like your boss telling you to wire millions of dollars. The pressure.
Immense. And it's not just direct fraud. They might impersonate someone to get network access, steal sensitive data, or even impersonate customers to access individual accounts. There's even concern about using CEO audio deepfakes to manipulate stock prices.
Okay, so financial fraud is a massive, complex threat. What about misinformation and disinformation? That feels like another area where deepfakes could be incredibly damaging.
Oh, absolutely. Deepfakes can make misinformation incredibly convincing, blurring that line between real and fake like never before. This massively boosts the power of disinformation campaigns.
How so?
Well, you can combine deepfakes with political micro-targeting. Imagine creating a fake video of a candidate saying something awful.
And then sending that video specifically to voters who are already likely to dislike that candidate.
Precisely. Tailored, persuasive, fake content. And it's not just video. Fake online accounts, often using those AI-generated profile pics for fake credibility, work alongside fake videos and audio to spread disinformation widely.
Any real-world example?
Yeah, there was a documented case of a Chinese state-backed group creating deepfake newsreader avatars.
Like fake news anchors.
Exactly. Delivering propaganda through seemingly legitimate news formats. In conflicts, you can see deepfakes used to show fake bombings, fake atrocities, fake statements from leaders, all to manipulate public opinion or escalate things.
The potential impact on democracy, on global stability, it's terrifying. What about more personal harms? I know non-consensual pornography was one of the first big worries.
Tragically, yes. That was an early and still very prevalent malicious use, and it overwhelmingly targets women. There was a report back in 2020 suggesting over 100,000 fake nude images had already been created and spread online without consent.
It's horrifying.
It is. We actually spoke with Noelle Martin, an Australian activist. Her own experience with deepfake porn, starting when she was just 17, really highlights The devastation, violation, the fight to get it taken down, the lasting psychological trauma.
Just awful. And it goes beyond sexual content too, right? Damaging reputations in other ways.
Absolutely. Cyberbullying is another area. Using deepfakes to ruin someone's reputation, isolate them socially, maybe even affect their school or job prospects.
Like that cheerleading incident?
Yeah, the Pennsylvania cheerleading case where manipulated photos and videos were allegedly used to try and sabotage rivals, or fake embarrassing photos of students being circulated. The potential for personal harm is just immense.
Okay, this is a lot. It's clear the potential for misuse is huge, affecting individuals, companies, even nations. So the crucial question, what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
How do we detect these things? How do we fight back?
Right, that's the million-dollar question. And it's tough because, remember, deepfakes don't have to be perfect to work.
Because we tend to believe what we see.
Exactly. Our natural inclination is to trust our eyes and ears. So even slightly flawed fakes can spread bad info or cause harm. Detection is this constant cat-and-mouse game.
The fakers get better, the detectors get better.
Precisely. Initially, it was mostly manual detection. Experts looking for tiny flaws, weird blinking, unnatural shadows, audio sync issues. But that just doesn't scale. Too much content.
So automation is key. What kind of automated tools are there?
Several approaches. One big one is using AI itself classifiers trained on lots of deepfake examples to spot the telltale digital fingerprints.
How well do those work?
Some are getting pretty good. I saw a stat about one model using optical flow, how pixels move, reaching over 80% accuracy on a specific data set, face-to-face. But it's an ongoing battle.
Because the deepfakes keep improving.
Right. So researchers also look at passive techniques analyzing pixel-level details, lighting, shadows, expressions, compression artifacts left by online platforms.
Artifacts. Like digital breadcrumbs.
Sort of, yeah. Things left behind during processing. There are also active techniques trying to verify media in real time, figuring out its origin or provenance. Has it been messed with?
Like a digital chain of custody.
Kind of. Plus, physics-based checks do shadows and reflections make sense. And specific tools looking for signs of jams. There are even open-source tools people can try, like Deepware Scanner or Sensity AI. But again, online compression can sometimes hide the evidence these tools look for.
Okay, detection is one piece. What about prevention? Stopping harmful fakes from being made or spreading.
Prevention's also key, but tricky. One angle is curating the AI training data, maybe leaving out NSFW content or public figures.
Limiting what the AI learns to do.
Trying to, yeah. Another is using filters on the AI tools themselves, prompt filters to block harmful requests, output filters to catch bad results. But they struggle with intent. Is it satire or malicious? It's hard to tell automatically.
What about red teaming?
Oh yeah, that's important. Having experts deliberately try to misuse the AI helps find the weaknesses in those filters so they can be improved.
Makes sense. And you mentioned proving authenticity earlier, watermarks and things.
Right, embedding techniques like digital watermarks or provenance metadata. There's a big industry group, CTPA Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, working on standards for this, like a digital nutrition label for media.
That sounds useful.
It is, but determined attackers will always try to remove or fake that information. It's not foolproof.
So what about the big platforms, YouTube, Facebook, etc.? What are they doing?
They have a huge role, obviously. They're setting rules, suspending accounts, taking down harmful deepfakes, sometimes downranking or labeling manipulated content. Enforcement is key.
And for us as individuals, what's the best defense?
Media literacy. Honestly, that's maybe the most important thing. We all need to get better at questioning what we see online, thinking critically about sources. There are good resources out there. SANS Institute, MIT Media Lab have some. Just developing healthy skepticism.
Critical thinking is the first line of defense.
Absolutely. And speaking of support, let's thank our sponsor again, www.quantumsecurity.ai, for helping us have these crucial conversations.
Okay, so it's a complex fight. Better tech for detection and prevention, platform responsibility, and crucially, public awareness and critical thinking. Now, looking bigger picture, what about organizations, governments, regulations? This can't just be on tech companies and individuals, right?
No, definitely not. It absolutely requires cooperation between private companies and the public sector. Organizations need their own strategies.
Like what?
Implementing detection tools, sure, but also having plans for what to do if they are hit by a deepfake attack. Training employees is huge, making sure people can spot suspicious stuff and know how to respond, and doing regular risk assessments focused specifically on deepfake threats.
And the legal side, are there laws specifically against deepfakes?
It's patchy. Existing laws can sometimes apply, GDPR for data protection, since faces are data. Copyright law if they use existing footage. Digital Services Acts are starting to push platforms on moderation.
But no single deepfake law everywhere.
Not really, and they're big challenges, like finding who actually made the fake, especially if they're overseas, and ensuring victims have resources and legal options. It's tough.
Are governments or regions trying specific strategies against the disinformation aspect?
Yeah, some are. The EU has its code of practice on disinformation, trying to get platforms to be more transparent and accountable. Taiwan's approach is interesting. They call it nerd immunity.
Nerd immunity.
Yeah, basically investing heavily in professional fact-checkers and public education campaigns to train citizens to spot and counter fake news themselves, building societal resilience.
Interesting idea. What about ethics? The people making this tech?
Huge responsibility there. Ethical development is key. Responsible use, data protection, preventing misuse. Transparency is vital, knowing how a deepfake was made, what data was used. Consent is obviously massive if you're using someone's likeness.
And tech solutions for trust.
There's potential in things like cryptographic hashing or blockchain to create verifiable records of original content, making tampering easier to spot. Regulators need to provide clear guidance too and enforce rules against privacy and security risks. And crucially, we need support systems for victims groups like the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative, NTAB, and crisis hotlines.
So many layers involved. And again, really appreciate the support from www.quantumsecurity.ai for this deep dive. It lets us cover all these angles.
Absolutely.
Now, we focused a lot on the dark side, and rightly so. The risks are serious. But is it all bad? Are there any, positive uses for this technology?
That's a really important point. Yes, while the risks need focus, there are definitely beneficial, or at least potentially beneficial, applications.
Like what?
Well, in marketing, you could see personalized ads, dynamic content, even virtual influencers powered by this tech.
Okay.
Entertainment is already using it quite a bit. Post-production in movies and TV de-aging actors is a big one.
Right, making them look younger for flashbacks.
Exactly. Or altering dialogue after filming without reshoots. And of course, parody and satire like that Channel 4 deepfake of the Queen giving an alternative Christmas message a while back. Clearly labeled as fake, but used for social commentary.
I remember that. It definitely got people talking, even knowing it wasn't real.
Right. There's potential in retail too, virtual try-ons for clothes. Education could use it for more engaging learning. Healthcare's interesting synthetic audio to give voices back to people who've lost theirs.
That's amazing.
Yeah, huge quality of life improvement. Potential uses in preserving culture, improving virtual assistants, making human-machine interaction feel more natural.
So it really is this double-edged sword. Huge potential for harm, but also some genuinely cool and helpful possibilities.
That's exactly it. It's a powerful technology, and navigating its development and deployment means understanding both sides of that coin.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive, what are the absolute main things our listeners should take away from this whole discussion about deepfakes and synthetic media?
I think the key things are, 1, this is a rapidly evolving technology. It's getting better faster. 2, the potential for harm is significant and broad fraud, disinformation, personal attacks, national security, it touches everything.
Oh.
But 3, it also has real potential for good in areas like entertainment, health, marketing, and more. It's not inherently evil tech. And 4, dealing with it requires a multi-pronged approach. Meaning better detection tech, yes, but also prevention strategies, platform responsibility, clear regulations, ethical development, and critically, media literacy and critical thinking skills for all of us.
So looking ahead.
While the tech side detection, prevention is crucial. Fostering that critical thinking in people is maybe just as important, if not more so. We all need to be smarter consumers of media.
This has been incredibly insightful and frankly, a bit unsettling at times. Deepfakes aren't sci-fi anymore. They're here and they affect all of us. And on that note, a final thank you to our sponsor, www.quantumsecurity.ai, for making this really important exploration possible.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on. As these deepfakes get better and better, maybe even indistinguishable from reality, how is that going to change our fundamental ideas about trust, about authenticity? What does real even mean in that future?
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely something to think about. A powerful question. We really encourage everyone listening to keep exploring this, stay informed, and just be mindful, be critical of the media you see every day. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.